Here we go. Go 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by our good friends at Ducks Unlimited. And it is that time of year. The Christmas season is on us. And if it's Christmas time, it means it's time for the vault. And our good friend David Schuessler with Ducks Unlimited is with us. And he is the man with the vault. Hello, David. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all doing?
We are wonderful. It's hard to believe it's that time of year again.
It's crazy. It just seems like DUX was here last week.
It really does.
That was a great time. A great time. I'm telling you, I can't wait for Ducks again.
We're sold out, which, that didn't take long.
No.
And ready to do it again. Not changing anything.
Right? No, it was a good time. I will say this one thing here is I don't know what kind of commission you were on with the coffee people, but the temperatures at that convention center was about 46 degrees. So I know Shin sold a ton of coats and hoodies because they had hoodie racks there the last day. And then the guys at Dirty Duck Coffee were pouring coffee through that place. So y'all made it perfect for people selling hoodies, jackets, and coffee for sure.
There's one person to blame for that. It is not me. It is Jimbo Robinson.
Boy, Jimbo, I'll see him on Sunday night. So I will say something. It was cold in there. I've been cold at a lot of hunting shows just for a little bit, but usually when the people start coming through, it warms up. You could have hung meat in that convention center.
Well, it's a duck show.
Boy, it was.
We're getting everybody ready. I will tell you that the coffee people did not complain, nor did any clothing companies that were selling hoodies and jackets.
But didn't we catch like a weird August cool front or something like that, if I remember right?
It was a blizzard inside.
That Sunday was unseasonably cool. It was pleasant, like go to the park and have a cookout.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that had something to do with it because they had, earlier in the week during load-in, they had to hit that building, that big, beautiful building with all that air conditioning just to keep it livable. And then when the humidity got knocked out, and then the cooler temperatures. Yeah, it was cold in there. I don't know if we'll do that again, but I defer to Jimbo.
I'd rather be cold than hot because I remember being at Texas Motor Speedway about 3 years ago, and we had to bring in air conditioners. Remember that?
I do remember that. We will not have to bring air conditioners into the Renaissance Convention Center. I can assure you that.
That was the August or whenever we had that cool front this year. Jeff was telling us it was going to be a Grand Passage kind of winter, and my goodness, was he ever wrong?
We had a lot of Grand Passage last night.
85 degrees. We've been bumping up against almost 90 here. As a matter of fact,
it's been the hardest first 7 days. Today's day 10, and it's the hardest first 10 days of season I've ever had. Now, we have a lot of birds here. We're very blessed. Now, I've talked to a lot of people in Oklahoma this morning, and us, and we have a lot of birds. We had 10 feeds this morning. So the birds are here, but they're acting weird, and I've got my reasons I believe that's going on.
What are your reasons? Are we going down a conspiracy rabbit hole? Do I need to put my tinfoil hat on?
No conspiracy things at all. I think the people that hunt in Canada is increased so much over the last 10 to 20 years that those birds get a lot of pressure on them that they used to not get. Because before the answer was, well, Canada's got such liberal limits. It's like, yeah, but there's not very many people go up there, so it really don't matter. Well, now there's a ton of people that go to Canada, and I think the birds just get pressure from September on. And I think the late season snow goose with the conservation season going all the way into April and May in a lot of places, the birds just don't get the rest they used to get. That's my 2 cents on that.
My 2 cents is that it has been almost 90 degrees. Goose hunting is not a summertime sport. we've come to find out, and they don't have to eat. So whenever they come out and they see blinds and decoys and everything else, they don't have pressure to feed, so they just go land wherever they want to. That's what I think. David, what about you?
Are we talking snow, specks, or ducks?
Everything.
Our specs that are here right now.
I think it's to do. If you're talking specs, it's to do with weather.
Yeah.
That'd be my call.
That's my guess. It's just that it's too hot, and they don't. I mean, and like all the fields have food in them, so they just.
Oh, there's an overabundance of food.
They just go wherever they want to right now because it hadn't been cold enough. They don't have that need to get to that field that they've been going to. Because, like, you know, we'll scout in the evening time and we'll hunt a field the next morning that was loaded the night before, and then they just bounce fields.
And nobody else is hunting.
Yeah, it's been my experience with specs, and we're not in yet over here, although we have an early spec season. Y'all might see this out there, I don't know, but when they get to the Grand Prairie of Arkansas, it takes them a while to get right. Like they'll be in these big groups and they all go out, you know, they don't go out 3 and 5 at a time and go, you know, nomad out and find a new place. They just, boom, they all go out at once and they all come back in. And if you're on that X, that's great. If you don't have an X, it's really hard to hunt traffic early. It has taken them, they never really patterned. They never really got right during our spec season, which was a couple of weeks ago. Big bodies moving around, no family groups starting to go out and flutter around a little bit. Of course, nobody's watching them right now. We're not in for ducks or for geese. If you were talking about ducks, I would have said it's because we have a overabundance of older birds in the migration right now due to the dry prairies. There's certainly young birds in the migration, but not what you would normally see. And older birds, regardless of whether they've been shot at, flew over spinning wings 2 weeks ago or whatever, older birds are just smarter birds. So that's what I'm expecting this duck season. Now, snow and ice and 25-mile-an-hour north winds, that makes all birds dumb.
Yeah.
We had 0 wind this morning and a heavy frost. We had a frost on the decoys. Our other issue is we're the only people hunting. There's nobody else hunting today. I mean, you couldn't. I bet you'd had to drive 100 miles to find another waterfowl hunter this morning. And that makes a big difference also. But we had 10 X's this morning at 8:15. There was 10 different feeds with lots and lots of birds in them today. Which is
Did you have the dreaded 3 C's this morning? 4 C's: clear, calm, cool, and crispy.
Yep.
Now, I would say it was cold, not even cool.
Well, there you go.
We built a fire last night. We come home from the lodge last night, and Michelle brung in some papers and stuff. I go, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Someone's building a fire. I smelled it when I pulled up." She goes, "We ought to build us a fire too." I said, "Okay." So we built a fire, and then about 10 minutes later, she goes, "I'm gonna go ahead and open this window." I said, "Yeah, we got a little." She goes, "It's cold out there. It's 42 degrees." I said, "Yeah, but our house is still 70 something." So we had the fire going, had the window open, and then the fire was rolling. We took some pictures of it the first year. And I said, "You know, it's crazy how excited you are about building that first fire. About March when we're building a fire again, it's like, God, I guess I need to build a dang fire back here. I'm sick of fire."
Yeah, it's like the first pot of chili. It's fun.
Yeah. Hey, I had a duck hunt last week, and Gadwalls made me look like a Jesus saint, like a saint. They did it perfect. Gadwalls saved the day.
And, you know, Gadwalls don't always do that.
Boy, they did for me. We had a flock of 9 come in. We shot 6 out of them, and then the other 3 went to the edge of the property, spun around, and they did it right, and then we mopped the last 3.
That must have been young Gadwall.
I'll take them.
Yeah, all day long.
Absolutely.
Give me the gaddies and the widgeon.
One of my dad's last hunts with us, so it would have been in like 2020, 2019. Dad had in 2020, probably 2018. We did a field hunt, opening day of duck season up here. I'd seen a bunch of ducks coming in. They were feeding in a wheat field that was just wheat stubble, and they were a quarter of a mile from us. I said, "I think we can kill birds." We put out all of our field decoys. We put out about 7 spinners, and we put an A-frame up right on the edge of the county road, basically on the edge of our field. And we sucked them birds off that deal, and we shot, I guess there was 9 or 10 of us. We shot 50 to 60 gadwalls in the afternoon between 4 and 4:30, and man, they done it all morning long, just perfect. And that's the only time I've ever seen a gadwalls field that we field hunted for gadwalls ever. But it was an amazing. They're a fun bird to shoot. The gray ducks have saved a lot of hunts.
Oh, I love them. That's the new mallard, right?
Well, I'm starting to think so. I talked to Mags today. He told me there was they had a field last night that had 300 or 400 mallards in it, and the first ones of the year, and they had just showed up the day before. So maybe we're going to see some ducks.
There's a push. There's a push right now with this weather. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to be the grand exodus. There's not enough snow up north, but there is. All the reports I'm getting this morning from all over are new birds, and new mallards. I'm hopeful, right? Like duck hunters, goose hunters, we're always hopeful. I'm hopeful these birds are moving, especially the mallards. And it does seem like we're seeing more mallards than we normally do this time of year. I hope they know that there's something coming in December and January, and they just needed to get the hell out of Dodge while they could, catch a north wind.
I saw the forecast for next week. We're going to be 85 again here on Thursday. And then we start our boss hunt is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I saw we're on Sunday, I think our high is like 66, and then it's going to warm up to 70, 71. But our high on next Wednesday is only 50 degrees. And I saw where Minot, North Dakota, next Tuesday and Wednesday, their highs are back below freezing as their highs. So maybe we're going to get into a front, and it's going to freeze up there. I sure hope so.
It looks like, they warm back up. I mean, they're cold this morning. I check every morning. I check from Saskatoon all the way down to Watertown, South Dakota. And they're cold. I'm sure there's hard water, not all the way across, but I'm sure there's some hard water up there this morning. They warm back up, and then it looks like they dip back down and stay down.
I hope they go far, far down.
I hope they stay there till March.
Yep, me too.
I just want to see it one year. I don't think I've ever seen that 1983 year that you talk about all the time.
You did in February a couple years ago.
Yeah, but I want to see it. I want to see it during hunting season. You know what I mean? I just want to see it one year.
We were always cold growing up. Now, as you get older, you only remember what you want to remember.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I look back. I found an old journal that I had from 1998 or 99, our hunting. And all I remember about the late 90s here was shooting limits of Canada geese every morning. 10 guys shoot 50 birds and be done in 45 minutes. Then I read my journal. And then when I went back and read my journal, I don't remember as well as I thought I did, because we had a lot of days that are the same. No wind, it's full moon. We shot 7 birds this morning with 10 guys. And then the next day we shot 50 birds in 30 minutes. So it's always been the same. But that winter of is it 82 or 83? You lived in Florida growing up, right? So you probably didn't remember that. But
No, I do. It was 83 because that's the first time that I saw 82 or 83. It's right in there. Saltwater freeze.
Wow.
We had our bays and our creeks and everything at the coast freeze, because I remember my uncle said, let's go tomorrow. Absolutely. We got on the airboat, rode it on ice all the way out to the creek we were hunting in at the coast, and migration had moved even past us. Didn't see a single bird.
Whoa.
And growing up in North Florida, like that's all you ever dreamed about was breaking ice.
Uh-huh.
And I learned at the age of 12 or 13, it's not good when it's ice down that far. I bet you they were banging their ass in South Florida that weekend.
Boy, we banged them in North Texas all winter, all year long. We shot black ducks that year, even as a kid. We shot a lot of banded birds. We had live decoys. We had a playa that we hunt on out here. It's crazy. I never would have thought that that memories I had is 12 miles from my house today, and I grew up 100 miles away from here. But we had live decoys. We had a hole in the ice, probably about the size of our dining hall in there, and it had grebes on it. And we'd come up to it, and we carried some decoys with us, and these grebes were there, and you'd shoot, and they'd go underwater. As soon as you'd quit shooting, they'd all pop up. And we shot mallards one day. We hunted it, that we had it for 3 weeks to a month, where it was just solid. You could stand on the edge of it and put your toes over the ice, and it was solid. The water was probably a good 18 inches. The ice was probably 18 inches. I mean, it'd been below freezing for 30, 40 days. But those ducks would go underwater, And then as soon as you'd quit shooting and the dogs would get the ducks, they'd come up again. Boy, them mallards would fall in there. But we would shoot mallards. They'd hit the ice. When they'd land on the ice, they didn't hit the water, and corn would pour out of their crawl when they'd hit the ground right there. But it was amazing. I would have my dad should have went to prison for the birds he let us shoot that year. We'd kill 40, 50 mallards every morning. It was amazing, amazing hunting. But the wind blew out of the north for 20 to 30 miles an hour every day for about 4 weeks straight. I'd love to go through that again.
You know, and for people that have never seen it, experience something like that, and people up north certainly understand this. We think in the South that, once all the lakes are frozen and once the Great Lakes start freezing over, like every duck must be gone. And that's not the way it is. I mean, even in those type of conditions, there's birds that hang on, especially if they can find food. And, you know, they'll start feeding in the fields in Arkansas when we freeze over in about the third or fourth day. The mallards will, and gadwall and widgeon, but they'll stick around. If they have open water, they'll stick around and they'll eat food in the fields. And the only thing that'll move those hardiest of the birds out is snow cover. Mm-hmm. They'll figure a way to keep water open or find a water source that is open, a flowing river or a creek or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You got that food source has to get covered up. Otherwise they're just they'll just hold out.
Yep. And they talk about in this part of the world, I didn't grow up here, but I've lived here a long time, those years that the heavy snow map would come all the way down into North Arkansas. Those were the absolute golden days, because you had that whole push of mallards sitting there in January waiting for that snow to recede to start to go back, but there was no snow receding. And those are the years where some people say that they might have shot the bottom out of the population because it was such a guarantee every day.
Oh, right. Hey, I saw this yesterday. We lost Buck Gardner.
Yeah, man, what an absolute gem of a human. I mean, a gem. To me personally, to my family, when we moved to Memphis, Buck lived one road over. He turned my kids' first calls, like picked them up one Saturday, took them to his shop and turned their first duck calls on his old lathe that he started on. Was just a fantastic ambassador of the sport, not only here inside Memphis, but all across the country. And we lost a really, really good one. There is a pall over the waterfowl hunting world in Memphis today with Buck's passing.
Did you ever meet him, Jeff?
Yes, I did. I may have met him the first time at Game Fair in the late 90s. And then I met him at, I believe I met him there the first time. And then me, him, and Eli Haydell had a conversation at the Ducks Expo, the one they had at Shelby Farms. Would that have been 97, 98?
That would have been one of the last ones, yeah.
Yeah, right there. Because Eli's booth was right next to me. And I really liked Eli. I liked him a lot. But anyways, me, him, and Eli had a talk. It was me, him, Eli, and one of the other old timers. Maybe it was one of the guys from Night and Hale, and I can't remember his name. But that was a long, long, long time ago. We're losing a lot of the old guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't buy time. It's a shame.
Jeff, you and I will be the old guys here in about 5 years.
Yeah, it's like. Well,
it's better to be that way, I guess. Better to be the old guy. It means you're still here.
Did find out this week that if something happened to me, someone's willing to start a GoFundMe page. So there you go. So I'm set there. But anyways, y'all, prayers to Buck's family.
Was it cancer?
Yes. Just so everybody.
Not you, Buck.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me. I just say,
not you.
Get into this. Did he die of cancer or stroke?
Yeah, Buck's had some health problems for a while.
That's too
65 years. He wasn't really an old man. I mean, it's old when I was a young man, but 65 is not old anymore.
Bumping right up on it now.
Wasn't he 65? Is that right, David?
I don't think so.
I don't know how old Buck was.
I thought it said 65.
Do the math here, Jeff. 40. He's 75. 76.
Okay.
76. Born in 49, died in 2025.
That's a good life.
Yeah.
That's Yeah, 65 sounded
Yeah,
young.
that sounded young. That
Yep,
I didn't think
75.
that's what it was. But yeah, anyway, prayers to Buck Gardner and all his family. It's a whole.
I'm going to ask you a question, Dave. I'm going to put you on the spot here. You've got one of the best jobs in America. I think that's very debatable. You don't think so?
I think some people that I work with have the best jobs in America.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying. I have an incredibly rewarding job, getting to do what I get to do, working with the volunteers and supporters of Ducks Unlimited and raising money for our conservation efforts.
I think anybody that's in our industry, whether you're at Ducks Unlimited, whether you're an outfitter, whatever, a guide, whatever you do, you're getting to do something around something you really enjoy, ducks. So I think we're all blessed in a way. I think you've got
100%.
I think you have one of the better gigs in this industry, and you're very, very blessed from it. What would you do to retire? I mean, because you're supposed to retire and do something you enjoy doing. Like I've had guys ask me before, Jeff, will you retire? I won't retire. First of all, I'll never be set up because I work for myself and I've got to work so I can keep feeding Michelle once we do get old. But I couldn't imagine something else that would be rewarding for me to do other than this business.
I've thought about what I want to do when I retire.
You want to hunt?
I'm going to hunt a lot. I'm going to hunt more than I do right now. I want to live in the mountains, in the Appalachian Mountains, alone. Not alone. I want to be with my wife, and I want to see grandkids and all of that stuff. But doing what I do for a living, I'm around a lot of crowds, right? You're working event fundraising for Ducks Unlimited. You're around a lot of crowds and a lot of people, and I want quiet for at least 5 or 6 years.
So the Appalachian Mountains, that's the retirement.
Somewhere in South Carolina, yeah.
I'm choosing
driving distance to Stuttgart, because if I'm retired, I'm going to live there during the season. And then driving distance where I can get down to my rearing grounds on the coast and catch fish and that. But I want to I want no PAs in my ears for about 5 years.
That makes sense.
I'd go to Montana or Idaho, the Western Mountains, to a little quiet spot. But I'll never get to go nowhere because my grandkids are going to be somewhere else. Because, I used to always say I would sell everything and move to northern Maine or somewhere along the coast. But I don't know if I could handle winters.
You don't. You're going to Idaho.
Huh?
I duck hunted up there one time in the snow and some of that wind, and it was December. It wasn't January, February. No possible way.
No,
I could do that.
And when you're duck hunting, you don't get as cold. You might get cold, but if you just went lay in your backyard in February up there, it's freaking cold. But if you got some decoys around you, it's not near as bad. It makes things go by. All right, let's talk about the business at hand, the vault.
Into the vault.
Into
the vault.
Is this year 3?
This is year 6.
No way. It goes by
year
fast.
6.
Can't wait to see what me and Andy are going to bid against each other on this year. So
right now I'm looking at decoys. So I am not a waterfowl historian by any means, and I did not know that LL Bean made decoys.
Oh yeah, man.
I always thought they were a garment place. Yeah, I'm looking. Y'all have a collect. It's at the very top. So we got a little sneak peek at this website so that we could do the podcast.
Yeah, there's the collection at the top, which I think are a bunch of puddle ducks.
I think there were some geese in it. I lost it. I was scrolling down and I lost it now. And
then there's also some other LL Bean individuals in there. And, I don't think anybody's going to consider, some of the real vintage LL Bean for collectors, there's some people that probably want them. You're not going to see these show up on a Guyette and Dieter sale or something like that. But yeah, there's people that collect them. I mean, back in the day, they're all cork. And that's what, especially on the East Coast, a lot of those guys hunting those creeks over there in the Atlantic Flyway, like LL Bean decoys, that was it. When you had a rig of LL Beans, you'd made it.
Now I'm trying to find it again. I had it. I scrolled down to see some of the other decoys, and now I can't find it. I was going to see exactly what all was in this collection. But yeah, it just struck me that it was LL Bean. Yeah, they're all cork. but it looked like a pretty cool little collection.
Oh my gosh, almighty! No, they've got a gun that I want.
Oh God,
Which one?
The DU 1973 Model 1100.
Yep. So 73 was the start. That was the first year of our Gun of the Year program, which was just a trial between Remington and DU. They made 500 1100s. That's not one of them. That is a replica of it. And so there's 500 1973 Remington 1100s out there somewhere, probably not 500 now, less than that. But they have a DU serial number. DU will be inside of the serial number. At the same time, Remington produced the exact same firearm with a regular Remington serial number and sold them at retail. That was only done very early on in our Gun of the Year program. They also did it in 74, and I think they did it in 75. Today, we wouldn't do that just because of consumer confusion and everything else. So, but that is basically the exact same first Gun of the Year, but it's not considered as such because it wasn't one of the 500 that went through our chapters.
There are some neat things in here. I'm looking at.
But the 74 that's on there that's number 18, DU 18. And there were only 600 of those made. The second year, this will be the first time I've ever sold a 1974 Gun of the Year, other than the collection here, the Palermo collection at headquarters. I had never held one until this firearm came in for this sale. So that is the uber rare piece that's inside of the firearms this year. The more than 140 firearms this year.
When did this come in? Was it early or was it late?
Sometime this summer.
Okay. So it wasn't one of those last things that popped in.
Mm-mm.
So the decoy of the year. So I'm looking at it. There's a speckle belly. It's 2020 DU decoy of the year. Do y'all do a goose and a duck, or is this just the decoy of the year? Stop.
That's just the decoy of the year.
Okay.
So every year we do a now shotgun. It used to be called the Gun of the Year, but on our 75th anniversary, we added, and we're 88 years now. So on our 75th anniversary, we added a rifle and a handgun of the year. So we do a shotgun, a rifle, a handgun of the year, a knife of the year, an artist of the year, which is kind of like the print of the year, a decoy of the year. There's a DU stamp and print that has an annual, year on it. We don't call it the stamp and print of the year, just the DU stamp and print. And I think that's all of them that, have that of the year on top of them, with the shotgun being the oldest of all of them.
Right. Now, the Bush light cans that are next to some of these decoys, is that just for size reference?
Yeah, so that was my idea. So we have two staff. We have two ladies here in the office. All they do is into the vault.
Mm-hmm.
That's how big that thing has become. And last year, as we were having our wrap up, I said, part of an issue we have, I think, is that y'all's studio is so good at taking pictures with your white background and your lights and everything. There's no reference point. So I think when we have a larger item, we need a reference point for it. And people were like, well, what do we need to put in there? I said, it's easy. The beer of Ducks Unlimited. Truly, the official beer of Ducks Unlimited. Go get a Bush Light out of my refrigerator and put it in every picture where you need it. So
that's funny.
There you go.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, because a lot of times you're like, well, how big is this? But now you got a Bush Light can next to it, so you'll know.
And you put the size in there, but as the three of us have talked about, not everybody reads.
No.
There's a lot of visual in this world. So that just helps some folks. Like if you look at that canvas swan, like look how small that Bush Light is compared to that canvas swan. And that really gives you an idea of just how big that item is, which is a really cool item out of North Carolina. There's that canvas decoy history out of the Outer Banks of North Carolina is incredible. Like, they didn't have enough trees to make decoys, so they would go and get canvas sails off of shipwrecks to make their decoys out of, way back in the day.
Off of shipwrecks?
Off of the sails. That's a cool. I saw that decoy too, and I thought the same thing. I looked at that can. I don't have no room for nothing like that no more. I've got, my house is full, or not, my house ain't full of nothing, but my lodge is full of everything. So I got to be a little more precise on what I'm going to get bidded up by Andy, of course. So we're going to have to pick. Me and Andy are going to sit down and figure out what he wants and what I want. And then we're going to go separate ways. But I do like those LL Bean decoys because I do not have one of those. And I'm sure I'm going to bid on that for sure. I know.
Yeah. So I found it. There's a couple mallards, 2 geese, and bluebills.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a cool little collection thing. Yeah, I had like I said, I had no clue. When did LL Bean get out of the decoy making business?
Ooh, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say it was sometime in the 80s.
Did you ever hunt over LL Beans?
I don't remember ever even seeing an LL Bean decoy until now.
I hunted over some growing up, but again, I think that was a lot of that was an Atlantic flyway thing.
Right.
And it could be.
Yeah. I remember hunting over some.
Why do they not? This has nothing to do with DU, but just question. I don't understand why the states have gotten away from their state duck stamps on your license anymore. Like the state of Texas, we buy a waterfowl endorsement. They don't give you you don't get a damn stamp.
Money?
I don't know if that's money. I will tell you that the collection of stamps has dropped dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's my understanding that if you still are part of a program where you can buy or that there are still programs out there where you can buy a print of the stamp and the stamp every year from the state. So for those that want that, it would be an additional charge. But I think that's more for the ease of the hunter and being able to have it electronically on your phone and not produce a stamp where you've fallen in the water 3 times.
Right.
But do states even like this? I don't even know if Texas has a state stamp anymore. Like I said, we get this waterfowl endorsement, but
yeah, I don't know.
But as a kid, you'd always have to have it signed, and my dad would make you sign it and put it on your back of your license and carry your license with you on everything. And now I buy my license and stamps online, and they send me a federal stamp.
You get the Fed, although you can still buy here. I bet I have one in my phone. Yep. This is last year's. Ruined it. See, there's mine from last year. I always kept it in my phone because going state to state to state, I always knew my phone was going to be with me. But now it's electronic.
Right.
As long as you show it in one of the states that you bought it in, you're good to go.
It says here, no, Texas does not have a state duck stamp, specific duck stamp anymore.
You just buy the endorsement.
You just get the endorsement. Yeah.
So they're saving money because there's not that program anymore.
Well, I just like David said, I just think that my generation doesn't really care about that.
No, I know y'all don't care about it, but you'd think they still would have continued it. I mean, how long are we going to go with waterfowl federal before they get rid of it and just do just an endorsement
that they have now?
I think federal is different, both historically as well as the selection process and the people that still collect those. Remember, you're talking about a subset of people that are going to collect, even a state the size of Texas. You're just talking about only so many people that will collect that stamp, whereas the federal stamp, you've got the whole country potentially of collectors, as well as those who buy it for entry into national wildlife refuges and places like that, where your entry is showing a federal duck stamp.
Do y'all have a king buck stamp at the at your headquarters?
We have several of them.
That would be awesome to see one of those again, You know, I've seen the replicas of it or not. There used to be an old man in town that I grew up with that had every federal stamp, and he passed on, and he's passed on 20, 30 years ago. But I always thought that would have been a cool collection to have. And I'm sure you can buy one, but there's no telling what the cost would be from every stamp from in history.
We have one full collection on the wall here. We have one stored. The collection on the wall has several stamps for each one. The King Buck, as most people know, was the only stamp that featured a dog on it.
Yep.
There have been other stamps that had dogs, but this one featured it. Maynard Reese did it in '69. And the coolest item we've ever had on Into the Vault was a King Buck that Maynard had hand colored for a friend of his, and the family donated it to DU, and it was hand tinted to be a chocolate lab.
They did chocolate?
That's the coolest item I've ever, and I've seen some cool stuff come through this sale. But to me, that was the neatest one ever.
And the King Buck stamp was in 1960.
Okay, that's right. It was 59.60, not 69. It was 59.60. 69.70, I think, was the Ross Goose.
Okay.
But yes, you're right. Yeah, I knew it had a 9 in there.
Could you imagine the politics when they first said they were going to make a federal duck stamp and make everybody buy one and pay one? I would love to know how the politics, how that went over on that, whether it was voted in or it was a bit. I'm wondering how much feedback and how much blowback they got on that.
Well, the stories I've heard and everything that I've read is that there was an urging from the duck hunting public at the time to be charged so those funds could go into waterfowl habitat conservation, especially on the breeding grounds, probably only on the breeding grounds at the time, because that stamp was born out of the Dust Bowl days, just like Ducks Unlimited was. When there were at that time historic lows, and maybe all time historic lows of waterfowl due to, in some parts of the country, overhunting, the market gunning that occurred over on the East Coast, but that prolonged drought. And droughts back then aren't like droughts now, just because of farming practices and the understanding that you can't plow every single square inch of ground, because it will create a dust bowl like they had up in the Dakotas and the prairie parts of Canada. And my understanding is like there wasn't a whole lot of pushback. Duck hunters knew we've got to do something. And if that's what the founders of Ducks Unlimited, that was their whole genesis, is that we have to do something here because this is really, really bad.
And we're talking about the duck stamp. When was the first duck stamp? 1936, 39, 40?
You're putting me on the spot. DU was 37. I think the first duck stamp was 34.
Okay. 1934. So we're talking basically 90 years of duck stamps, since went up from what, $1 to $28 in that time?
34, yes.
And 34.
Yep, 34. Yep. And right now it's 25, right?
So I thought it was 28.
Well, I think because there's
Online.
like a convenience fee.
Okay.
Of that's probably right. Yeah, August 14th, 1934. That's also where they put the CRP program in after that too, didn't they? After the Dust Bowl, whenever they figured out like, hey, we got to have some grass to make sure our dirt doesn't blow away.
Yeah, there were programs. I don't know if it's the CRP we see today, but there was an acknowledgement both from conservation, ag, really everybody involved, that we can't let this happen again. You hear about the migration of folks down into California because they were going to find work, and that was all spawned out of that Dust Bowl, and the pictures that you see of just miles and miles and miles of nothing but blowing sand because of just multiple years of no rainfall, and then nothing to hold what little rainfall there was. It's from a conservation story, and not DU. I'm talking about just conservation in general of our our country, it's one where it was all reversed. And thank God for the foresight of those people, everybody involved, government agencies, state agencies, DU and others. There's no way we're doing what we do today, going back to what, we have the privilege to do every day for a living. We're not doing that today without the foresight of those people that said something has to change out here.
Right. No, that's for sure. Going back to Into the Vault, what are the items that came in that made David excited?
A Holland and Holland 400 Magnum elephant gun. I don't want it. I don't want it. Right? Like, I don't need it. I'm never going to shoot an elephant unless one's chasing me. And that's not going to happen in Memphis, Tennessee. But I've never put a firearm up for auction that has a minimum bid of $40,000.
Holy cow.
So, it's a low appraisal on it.
Really?
Yeah. I've held a Holland and Holland firearm before. I haven't held many. That one really excited me, seeing that when that one came in. There's an Art LeMay original, and you can see some LeMays on my wall here. I'm a big LeMay fan, and we had an original donated out of a chapter in South Florida that I'm really excited. That one's not up on the site yet, so you won't be able to see an image of it. And after the success, and we talked last year when Jimbo and I were there with y'all about the Benelli Super Black Eagle 1, the DU edition.
Yeah.
We got another one.
Oh, wow.
And we had a volunteer in Wisconsin who saw how well that one did last year, called his regional director and said, you know what? I'm going to send this one in. It's new in the box. I've had it ever since I bought it way back in the late 90s at our event. And he said, it's time for it to have a new owner and my chapter to benefit from the sale of it. So we've got another one of those. And, there was so much excitement about that firearm last year. It caused us to kind of nudge Benelli and go, hey, what if we maybe brought this back, a special DU thing in our events, and we're going to run the SBE ones again. And Benelli did some research, and they're like, the molds won't work. There will be no more SBE ones.
Damn it.
Like it's done. So, so that's neat. I mean, for our history, for Benelli's history, the history in waterfowl hunting, that was another special one that I went, oh, look, there it is.
Starting bids only $2,000 for that. That'll go pretty quickly.
Now that might change. You're getting a sneak peek at.
I got you. So y'all just have numbers on here right now. Well, I didn't know because the elephant gun you said 40 and it's 40 on the website that I'm looking at. So I didn't know.
Yeah, I put that one in.
When I was hoping to get a picture of this elephant gun, but it's not up here yet.
It'll be up probably this week. We have 13 days left till it goes live. So what you're looking at right now, you're seeing a work in progress. They're back there putting stuff in today and getting images up and all of that. So of course, when it opens that Monday, the 24th, everything will be priced correct, or at least starting bids will be correct. And then there'll be pictures on everything. But we have a big meeting. There's about 6 of us that sit down for one solid day. And it's going to be when Corey Lucas is in this Friday. We'll be bouncing back and forth between Corey and the End of the Vault review. And we'll review all 1,000 items in one day.
Oof.
And we will, and some of them go quick, right? Some of them go quick, but we take a look at the starting bid and just make sure everything looks like we want it to look.
These handguns from World War II are cool. Have I never seen these before, or have they been in this Into the Vault before?
Yep, never seen them. We received a collection as a donation out of North Carolina, out of central North Carolina near Raleigh, last spring. And so there's some interesting ones in there. I haven't looked real hard at the handguns, but there were a couple of side-by-sides. I think they're Spanish that came in from that collection. And so, yeah, that's neat. That's a neat addition. There's 140 firearms. About 40 of them are DU Guns of the Year. A few other non-DU Guns of the Year, but DU branded firearms. And then the others are firearms like that Holland and Holland, or those pistols that have just come in from estates that we have the opportunity now to raise some conservation revenue as well as find some new homes for all these things.
Those pistols got put in a rucksack of somebody overseas. That's what's cool about those guns is the history behind them. I mean, that was taken off of probably a dead guy.
Yeah, probably so.
The 1994 DU Gun of the Year, the Browning A5. I got a funny story on that. So years and years and years ago, in the late 90s, my Cisco rep come up to me and he come up to me and he goes, "Hey," he goes, he said, "I don't hunt. I went to a DU auction with some buddies of mine and I won this gun, the Gun of the Year." And he goes, "I don't shoot. It's in the box. Never shot it." He goes, "Would you be interested in buying it or selling it?" I said, "I can sell it for you. I don't need to buy it." I said, I don't need it. I can sell it for you." He goes, "Do you mind doing it?" I said, "No." And we were like the last week of season. I said, "It might be next year before I can sell it." He goes, No, that's fine." So I put it in the gun case and put it in the gun closet, left it there, forgot about it. He got another job, never saw the man again. So 4 years later, I'm going through a gun closet. I'm going through a bunch of stuff and putting stuff in the safes and doing this stuff. And I'm like, open it up. I'd forgot about that gun. I thought, God almighty, I got that gun still. It was the 94 Gun of the Year. So I talked to my attorney, come up to hunt a couple of weeks later. I said, "What am I supposed to do with this gun?" I said, "I can't even get a hold of this guy." He goes, have you stored it for 3 years? I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's your gun now." He said, "How much do you think it would charge to cost someone to store something for that year?" I said, "Well," I said, "I told the guy I'd sell it for him." And I said, "I forgot all about it." He goes, "Well, just sell it." So I waited another year or two, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to sell that thing. And I did sell it. I sold it for $3,500 to a client of mine. He's passed away, but he ran a big construction company. And I brung it up. I was talking about it, and he come in the office. He goes, "Can I see that gun?" I said, "Yeah." I showed it to him. He goes, "How much you want for it?" I said, $3,500 is what a guy told me it's worth. He goes, "Put that on our bill and just give it to me." And so I sold him that gun, and his company paid for it. He never paid for it. But that gun walked away, and I think the guy that gave it to me died, I think, too.
Well, you got a pretty good price for it. That actually is an A500.
Yes.
And Browning thought it was going to be, it would have the popularity of the A5. And obviously somebody at Ducks Unlimited did too, because we chose it as the shotgun of the year. But I can tell you that the average sales price of that firearm that year was well under $3,500. So good for you. Well, hell of a sale.
Hey,
I'm a closer, David. I'm a closer.
This 1948 Browning A5, is there anything special with it and Ducks Unlimited, or is it just a cool old gun? Because it says it was the first post-war A5 made in Belgium.
Yep, Belgium made. That's what's special about that firearm. No connection to Ducks Unlimited.
Right.
Came in with a collection donated, but you talk A5s, you talk Brownings, everybody, the first question they ask, is it Belgium made? Is it Belgium made? Well, this one's Belgium made. And I think after Belgium and the Browning experts are going to go, Schuessler's wrong, and I might be. But I think from Belgium, they then went to Japan, and you have some A5s out there that are good quality firearms that, have made in Japan on it. And everybody, they want those Belgium guns, and so that's what you have right there.
Yeah, it says production during World War II moved to Remington in the States, and then I guess it moved back after the war. That's neat. It's so cool that these items are all going to go to, it's just like this gun right here. It's been sitting somewhere collecting dust, and now it's going to go to somebody who truly appreciates it. I mean, that's what's really cool about all this when you think about it that way.
I bought a couple of things off of this sale through the years, which, there's no way for me to rig anything or anything like that. That I collect no name original art because I can't afford anything that comes from anybody that has a name on it. But there's been a couple of pieces through the years that I've bought, and one of them hangs over our fireplace. It's 2 snow geese, and it's kind of a snow goose study. And every time I lay on the couch watching football or whatever, and I look at it, I don't know where it came from. It was donated to DU. It's it's neat. It reminds me of my time in Texas because I had much less seen a snow goose, or I had never seen a snow goose, much less hunt one before I moved to Texas. And it reminds me of my time out there. But that hung in somebody's home, and now it's in my home.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day it'll hang in Will Schuessler's home, and then maybe one day he'll donate it to DU and it'll hang in somebody else's home, because that's what you should do with original art, right? It's not yours forever. So it's cool. And a lot of these items, they do have stories. And I think it's neat, and part of the novel concept of this whole sale is, yeah, everybody's buying things, but it's kind of a swap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to somebody else.
What do you, the old Henry lever action rifles? I love them things. Have you shot one of those?
Me?
Yes, personally. Have you ever shot one of those?
I shot a Henry 22 shooting at squirrels growing up.
I've never shot a Henry. I always had a Marlin or something, but I've always wanted one of them, and I did not know that Henry made. That's what I was looking at. I always thought Henry made the 30-30 and the 30-06. I did not know they did the 22s, and I'm seeing one of them on here too.
Nope. I had Marlin, and I had 2 Marlin and a Henry 22 growing up. And there is something about a lever action, right?
Yeah, it's just so cool. That's why I have a 30-30 lever action, the old one that was my dad's, but I'm sure I may bid. That may be my thing I bid on. I may bid on that 22. I've always wanted a Henry rifle, man. I think they're so cool with the nickel and the copper on them. They're beautiful.
Sure. Makes you feel like a cowboy.
Yep.
Jeff looks like a cowboy. You should see him on a horse.
I did. You know, when I was hunting squirrels growing up, I felt like a cowboy every time I ratcheted that little 22 short out of it.
You shot the shit out of the squirrels, didn't you, growing up?
Yeah, I did. There are a lot of them in North Florida.
Did you eat a lot of them too, or did you just shoot them?
I did. Yeah, we ate all the squirrels we shot. My grandmother could cook the hell out of them. She'd fry them and then make gravy with it and put it over grits.
Did you eat the brains on them?
No, haven't done that.
I think that's a coon-ass thing. They love them.
Yeah, haven't done that.
No, I'm not either. If I brung some squirrels home, my wife, there's no way in hell Michelle would cook them damn things.
It's just a rat.
That's what she'd say too. That's a tree rat, Jeff.
Limb rat.
Hey, how did the connection with Buffalo Trace and Ducks Unlimited come to be? Because I see the mallard rare.
Yep. So, really just calling. I don't know if there's necessarily a DU connection formally to Buffalo Trace. Now, when we had a board meeting up there a few years ago, I think we got a tour of their facility, but this was probably a rep of theirs working with, and I think that one's out of the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
The state officers in Louisiana to do a special bottle run for fundraising down there. There have been other states that have done it. It's really popular right now. You do a barrel or two, then bottle everything off of it. That allows you the opportunity to have your own bottle for it, and then sell it at every single event. And usually there's a grand, that enters you into a raffle for a grand prize or something like that in states where it's legal. But it's not common. Not all 50 states are doing it, but I've noticed more and more of it. My guess is it's just something that's going through the bourbon industry right now to help facilitate sales, much in the same way they did with ceramic bottles back in the 70s.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yep. So I learned something interesting. I was in Louisville 2 or 3 weeks ago with some friends, and we went to Michner's, which is a well-known bourbon up there, one of the oldest bourbons, if not the oldest. And we did a tasting, and, where you go in and do all the stuff. And during the tasting, it was explained to me, and I'd never heard this, I had always heard about how rough things got in the bourbon industry in the 70s and 80s. I had heard that when I'd gone through distillery tours and things like that in the past, those were the bad days. Nobody was drinking bourbon. People were going out of business. Pappy went out of business, and then they were bought back by Buffalo Trace and all of that. But what I learned is you see all these old ceramic decanters that DU had a whole set with Jim Beam, and I think John Deere did a set with somebody. It was the bourbon industry finding a way to sell bourbon by selling it in collectible decanters. And now when I see all of these decanters, they're all from the 70s and 80s. Wow. And so that was the big push back then. And we have a full set of the Jim Beam decanters inside of the collectibles this year as well.
If I had $1 for every liquor store I went to with my dad growing up in the 70s, I'd have pretty good I'd have a couple $1,000 probably. And the Jim Beam decanters were big. And I'll tell you another thing they did was the Elvis Presley decanters. They did those also. But and I think they were Jim Beam also. But so that was their way of getting sales. So somebody sales pitched them. That was a smart idea because every DU banquet you went to back then, or you'd see, like, I didn't go to any banquets then, but I would look at their DU magazine. It was them Jim Beam decanters were everywhere, and it was a way to get the duck hunter to buy their bourbon.
That's exactly right. And they were buying the bottle. They weren't necessarily buying the bourbon.
Right. That's pretty cool. But they were
buying the bottle.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, we opened one on a whim. We opened one at the office. We were having a 25-year employee dinner, which there's not a whole lot of us. I was there, and we said, you know what? Let's open one of these bottles and it wasn't one that DU owned, right? It was one that an employee here owned. And he said, yeah, let's open it. And we all had just a taste of it. It wasn't that bad. Now, I probably got a bunch of lead running through my body right now, but there's worse things. But I don't think many people today collect the decanters, even if they're if the seal's not broken and there still is anything in there. I don't think people are buying them for the alcohol in there. They're buying them for that decanter, and that was the case back in the 70s and 80s as well.
That's what I was going to ask. Before we even got into this, I thought was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Will we ever see DU decanters come back again?
Oh, I imagine we will. Everything comes back around. The football coaches on the sideline in the NFL right now wearing ball caps with the rope around the bill. And who thought those things were ever going to come back?
I would have voted against that one, but I sell them up.
You're not a rope hat guy?
No, but I got a bunch of them for selling there that I just got in the office the other day. But
you're selling them, aren't you?
Oh yeah, the young guys love them.
Exactly. So yeah, I bet one day we'll have a decanter set because the young guys will want them, just like they did in the 70s and 80s.
Are you a bourbon guy? You like bourbon?
I am not.
Not a bourbon fan.
Nope.
What's your alcohol of choice then?
Say that again?
What's your alcohol of choice then?
My alcohol of choice is vodka.
Oh, okay.
And I do love a Wisconsin old fashioned with brandy. I wouldn't say I don't like bourbon. I drank a lot of it in college.
That was cheap bourbon though, David.
It was cheap bourbon, rock and roll, and college football, and yeah, I'd had enough of it in college.
Well, that makes sense.
Let me tell you something. I just had the best. I'm not a big bourbon drinker at all, and I'm not a big whiskey drinker at all. But I bought me and Michelle went into a place called Spirits and Spice in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, a couple of weeks ago, and they had a taste test, and so he goes, "Oh, you got to try this." It was old fashioned. I thought this is going to suck terrible. I know it is. The best alcohol I've ever had in my entire life. So I bought 4 bottles and had them shipped back here. I gave one to Andy. We did one here opening night of goose season. We did one. And then I've got one around here. And if you were going to be here next week, I'd have given you a taste of it. It's the best I've ever had in my life. But it comes from a place in Wisconsin called Yahweh or something, distillery. They make it for them. And then they bottle it in their own deal. But a guy's supposed to be bringing me some. If he shows up with them, I'm going to send a bottle back with Jimbo for you.
Well, if it's a Wisconsin old fashioned, and I love them, they're made with brandy and not bourbon.
Yes, that's what this had.
This had brandy in it?
Yep.
And I love them. It goes back to the World's Fair in Chicago, and a brandy salesman coming up with a drink to help push brandy, and Wisconsin just kind of took it over. If you go to those supper clubs, which are still very prevalent up in Wisconsin, that's the drink you have waiting to go in. I had one a few years ago. I have all the makings for it at my duck camp. I have all the makings at home in the bar for when it turns cool like this. And I will drink one of those with you, no doubt.
This thing here was a pre-mixed deal, but it said old fashioned. And I told Michelle, I said, well, that thing's good. It was really, really, really good. Like I've had 3 or 4 snorts in the last 2 weeks. We got home just a little bit over ice, and I really like it. And I've never liked drinking just whiskey at all.
Yep.
And I've always thought it's funny, them Cowboys would ride in off the West with a terrible thirst, and they give them a shot of whiskey, and I thought, there's no way in hell that quenched anybody's damn thirst. The water and beer must have been terrible if that's the best thing you got to drink.
You know how it became known as a shot?
You get one before you get shot?
Hold on, I think I know. It was the cost of a bullet.
Yep. It's the cost of a 45.
I'll be damned.
So they would trade. They'd give a shot for a shot.
What's a 45 bullet cost now?
Oh, I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know what a shot of whiskey costs, to be honest with you. So I don't even know if it's 1 for 1 anymore.
If you'll notice, the cost of whiskey changes. If you go to a real cheap dive bar, it's not as expensive. You go into a high-end pinky up place, it's pretty damn expensive.
Yeah.
For the
Well, it
same
depends
shot.
on what the whiskey is too.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think the whiskey they were drinking in the old West was 20-year Pappy.
No.
No.
No, 20-day-old Uncle Cletus or something.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was barrel proof, 20 days old. It had been distilled out back, and it was probably rye. I bet it was rye whiskey and not pure whiskey, but I don't know that for fact.
Rock gut is what it is. I'm not a rye fan. It's got some flavor in it that I'm not a fan of. I will drink bourbon every once in a while. I had a bourbon last night. I was hoping to see the old man Rogers win one on prime time, and
Well, he looked terrible.
boy, did they look like shit.
Yes, they did.
But I did. It was cold outside. I threw my wife and kids are they're out of town, so I threw a steak on the grill, and I had a bourbon and watched my TV outside with a blanket on. It was heaven, except for
Oh man, that's awesome.
Except for Rogers looked like shit.
So David, where are you going hunting this year? Since you're not going to bless us this year, where are you going?
Last week I was in the St. Louis area hunting the confluence. They're open for ducks. That was fun. A nice mix. Shot widgeons, shot gadwall, mallards, green wing. Shot one ringneck, which was fun for the old Florida kid. Other than that, and Arkansas and the farm in Tennessee, I think that's it. Not a lot of travel this year. This is a very, very busy year for me work-wise. So I pulled back a pretty good bit on it.
What are your predictions for this coming waterfowl season? Good, average, below average? What does David think?
I think that we are set up for an above average season. If you look at the last 5 years, okay, let's put it in that context.
Okay.
I think it's going to be above average based on the past 5 years, but only because of weather. I think there is something to this early push of birds that we have right now. I think those birds know something. And then I'm trying to look at all the forecasts, both from NOAA, as well as the guy that does his winter forecast on TikTok, right? Like I'm trying to take them all in, but nobody is saying that it's going to be a warmer than average winter up north. And everything that I see calls for heavier precipitation in the prairies than normal. So based on all of that, based on bird movement right now, based on the fact that, yes, we are freezing before our season starts in Arkansas and Tennessee, and everything else that my people are telling me up in Wisconsin and the Dakotas about the size of acorns and all that stuff. I think we're going to have a better than average season, but it's due to weather. And I really hope we get snowpack in the prairies, because at least on the U.S. side, we're going into the season wet. Now, that stuff's going to freeze, and if we can get snowpack on top of it and get a good runoff, I think we could hopefully, fingers crossed, pop ourselves out of this drought up there as it pertains to waterfowl reproduction. And we could see a boom the next couple of years as we'll finally give these birds in mass places to sit down and have babies.
Boy, I sure hope that you're right.
But I'm a duck hunter. I'm always hopeful.
Always optimistic.
Yep.
When do y'all open up?
In Arkansas, we open the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and in Tennessee, we open the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So in this part of the world, you get to have 2 opening days.
Yeah.
Which is, it's nice.
Got a couple weeks in.
Hopefully, we'll keep having some winter, or we'll get some more winter, and that'll keep some push. It's a great time of year. I love it. I love the fall football, hunting season, my favorite time of year. And then when February gets here, it's a drag. I hate February on. And then we get, starting in July, we get ready for hunting season. We got the ducks. We do hunting show season, and I'm ready to go again. You just got to find something to do between February and July and enjoy what we have.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to start wrapping up here. Into the Vault starts. Tell everybody when it starts again, right after Thanksgiving, yeah?
Yep, starts actually before Thanksgiving. Starts Monday morning, November the 24th.
Okay.
It will close on Saturday night, December the 6th. It's open for 13 days. And the website to go to it is intothevault.org. Intothevault.org.
Very, very good. It's going to be a lot of cool Christmas presents are on here for people that are wanting to get a jump on it. So Monday before Thanksgiving, be sure head over there and find something for that waterfowl hunter. Right?
That's right.
Perfect.
I look forward to your crew that's coming up here again. Logan's coming with Jimbo this year. I can't wait to see him again. Hopefully, maybe we'll get something happen. We'll get to see you this winter. You be safe. God bless you, my friend. Have a great Thanksgiving and have a wonderful, safe hunting season.
God bless y'all. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, David.
Sir. See you, David. Bye.
Great guy, great company, good people. All right, y'all go check them out. Into the Vault.
Yep, whenever it's live.
It's org, right? Into the Vault.
Intothevault.org.
Anyway, check them out. Ducks Limited, great organization, does so much. If you're duck hunting, you can thank Ducks Limited for it. Thank you for everything you do for us. Thank y'all for listening to us. God bless y'all. Have a great, wonderful week.
Goodbye. And check out all of our great sponsors. Go check out Cedar Run Decoys, talking about collectibles and Christmas time. Mitch Hall Chevrolet, Stanfield Outfitters, Mossberg, Lucky Duck, Looking Glass Podcast, Shin Gear, Dirty Duck Coffee, Ducks Unlimited, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls, use our promo code BHP25, and Boss Shop Shells.